Happy Wednesday, Holy Family. If you've been able to watch these videos thus far, you know that we began talking about what an audience is and what these videos are for. They're mainly an added chance to learn about an aspect of our faith in a little bit more depth. And we followed up last week by talking about the reality of our bodily resurrection as shown to us through Jesus's and the writings of the church. Before I move into this week, I just want to take a moment to encourage you to consider an opportunity that we've opened up this week. We have a chance to form some small groups, virtual small groups. This thing called Discipleship Quads is not as scary as it might sound. Discipleship, I'm not sure about that. What it really is 4 people, not overseen, not videotaped, I'm not there. 4 people getting together to help each other deepen their faith. It's a pretty awesome opportunity. All you have to do to just mention that you're interested is to go to the website and fill out a quick Google form. I ask questions on the form to get to know you and your life situation better. I'm not sharing those answers with your future group members. It just helps me know who would be a good fit for you for a group. So I hope you take some time to consider joining one of those groups. I think it would be a wonderful opportunity both for you all and for you to get to help form your fellow parishioners. Okay, so this week, I'd like to take a look at the pinnacle of our Catholic faith, what we call both the source of our faith as well as its summit. You guessed it, the Eucharist. I think we're all familiar with the Eucharist. So I won't go into some of the details that you likely well know. It is Jesus, and it's the major reason we go to Mass when we're not in time of pandemic, rather than just staying at home and praying. And it's something that Catholics have that most other denominations do not. We do recognize the Eucharist of the Orthodox Christians, but that's another topic for another day. So what I want to talk about today is what we mean when we talk about transubstantiation. That's a long and fancy word that maybe you've heard and you aren't sure what it means, or maybe you've never heard it, or maybe you know all about it and are now tempted to stop watching this video. To the last group of people, please keep watching and then send me comments or edits or additions that you might have. For the first 2 groups, or anyone else who doesn't really fall into these categories, let's start basic and then build up. So, transubstantiation literally means the change, trans, of what stands under or substance. This word first came into use in the church in the 1530s, when the truths of the Eucharist first came under attack. For the first 1,500 years of our church, people didn't really have an issue with the idea of Jesus in the Eucharist. You could argue that's for reasons of education. You could argue that's for reasons of no other option or what have you. But the fact is, 1,500 years of people didn't really see anything to argue about. So the church never had to articulate it in quite the same way. But in the 1530s, it came under attack. People were questioning whether it really was Jesus or how much Jesus was it. And so the church had to find language to express this as clearly as possible, which is why we get fancy long words like transubstantiation. Now, I think the easiest way to understand all of this is to think about what we know about the Eucharist and then go from there. We know what it looks like, which is a very white, flat, perfectly round piece of something. We know that it's bread, but it's certainly not the kind we make sandwiches from. We know it tastes a little unusual, but not like flesh or anything like that. And then we also know that it is Jesus, really physically Jesus. So it looks and tastes like food, but it's physically the Son of God. And that's where we usually lose people. Because they're like, those things don't go together. And that's weird, right? Okay, so how does it work? What we're grappling with here is the difference between substance and accidents. The substance of something is what it is in essence, the thisness or thatness of a thing. And it stays the same regardless of if the thing grows or changes. Literally, it's what stands under, stands under, the accidents of the thing. The accidents are the variables. For example, a person's height, weight, and hair color are all accidents. They can and do change. But it's still the same person under these visible attributes. Their substance hasn't changed. More dramatically, I could lose my arm or my leg or have a heart transplant, and I am still myself. My substance is the same. That said, our substance isn't just like a conceptual or spiritual thing. We, us substantially, we are somewhere when our body is there. But it isn't a particular part of our body that's us, right? Our substance is both physical and unseen. In the same way, Jesus' substance isn't tied to his human appearance, but it's made present in his human body. So when we speak of transubstantiation, we're speaking very specifically. It's not transformation, in which the form, the accidents, the appearance of the bread and the wine would change. It's a change of substance, of what's standing under the accidents of the bread and the wine. The taste doesn't change. The smell, the appearance, even the alcoholic quality of the wine doesn't change with transubstantiation. It's just what's standing under those things. We can't see it, but it's physically there. So yeah, it requires faith to believe it. No one's pretending that it doesn't. But I think it helps when we understand what we're being invited to believe, right? Hopefully. I hope this is helpful in your understanding and relationship with Jesus in the Eucharist. But the truth is that I'm not really the best at expressing the depth of what we're addressing. So I want to leave you with the words of someone who's far closer to an understanding of this mystery than I am. In the 13th century, the 1200s, St. Thomas Aquinas composed a beautiful and strikingly profound hymn about just this very thing. I leave you with his words to reflect on. He wrote in Latin, and so these words are translated by the poet-priest Gerard Manley Hopkins. If you're ever interested in finding some new, amazingly beautiful poetry, Gerard Manley Hopkins is a great person to look into. I will have the words to the song projected here as the song plays, and I invite you to go ahead and listen through, and then go back and pause the video on the different verses and just reflect on them. They're beautifully crafted and express great mystery and great truth in a clarity that I haven't found anywhere else. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll join us back again next week as well.
God had here in hiding, whom I do adore, masked by these bare shadows, shape and nothing more. See, Lord, at thy service, lo lies here a heart, lost in wonder at the God thou art. Seeing, touching, tasting, are in thee deceived. How says trusty hearing that shall be believed? What God's Son has told me, take for truth I do. was thy God that made no sign to men. Ere thy very manhood steals from human ken. Both are my confession, both are my belief, and I pray the prayer of the dying thief. I am not like Thomas, wounds I cannot see, but can plainly call thee Lord and God as He. Let me to a deeper faith daily nearer move, daily make me harder hope and dearer love. O thou a reminder of Christ crucified, living bread, the life of us for whom He died. Lend this life to me, then feed and feast my mind. There be thou the sweetness man was meant to find. Bring the tender tale true of the pelican. Bathe me, Jesu, Lord, in what thy bosom ran. Blood whereof a single drop has power to win. All the world forgiveness of its world of sin. Jesu, whom I look at, shrouded here below, I beseech thee, send me what I thirst for so. Some day to gaze on thee face to face in light, and be blessed for